guys, welcome back to my channel. Today's going to be another foundation review. I hope you guys don't mind that I'm doing 2 foundation reviews in a row, but I really wanted to get this video up. We're going to be testing out the brand new Tarte Shape Tape Foundations. I have the hydrating one and the matte one. So I'm going to be doing one on each side of my face and doing a wear test with these. I was hesitant to film this video. Originally, I was really excited to film it and really excited for this foundation to launch. And then as we all know, the shades they launched are just unacceptable. And it kind of made me not even want to do a review or wear test on this foundation just because I was like disgusted. So I wasn't gonna do it, but then I got so many requests. Like my comments were overflowing with requests to do this foundation. So I still am going to be doing a review on this for anyone that is really curious about it. So basically what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna give this foundation a completely unbiased review first. I'm gonna test it out and I'm gonna be totally unbiased. And then at the end of this video, I'm gonna tell you guys how I think about how they went about launching this foundation and what I think about the shade range. So I'm not gonna waste any more time and I'm just gonna start testing these out. So these are what the bottles look like. Again, this is the hydrating one and this is the matte one. I do love the packaging. I love frosted glass. You guys probably already know that by now. And I just love the size of it. I really like the applicator. It's just like a bigger size version of the concealer. These are both $39, so it is pretty pricey for a Tarte foundation. There is 1.01 fluid ounces in both bottles, so that's pretty much standard for every foundation. And I did get the shades light neutral in both foundations. Since I am going to be testing out 2 of these today, I'm not going to be using a primer on either side of my face because I don't want the primer that I use to like affect the way the foundation is working. Usually I'll just do half my face with no primer and then half with primer. Okay, so I'm gonna start with the hydrating one, and this one I'm just reading off of the website. So it's a luminous finish gel foundation featuring the same buildable full coverage shape tape concealer with a boost of skin smoothing oil-free hydration. Rich, creamy, full coverage, skin smoothing, weightless, packed with hyaluronic acid, supposed to plump your skin, refine pores, no creasing, caking, or fading for 12 hours. Okay, so I'm probably gonna be testing these out for about 10 hours. That's usually what I do. And then this is the one that they recommend using their sponge with, but I'm just gonna use my beauty blender because I did not feel like buying the sponge. And then it also says to just take the wand and then do 3 stripes on your cheek, and then without dipping it back in there, do 2 stripes on your forehead and 2 stripes on your chin. Not dipping it back in. Then we're going to take a damp sponge and start blending this out. Blends out great. Yeah, that blended out really easily. It's not full coverage though. You can still see my blemishes, but it did say that it was buildable. So I am going to go in with another layer and see how this builds up. But it does look really pretty on the skin. It doesn't look like I'm wearing anything. It looks like my skin looks pretty dewy. I actually do like the finish of it. I didn't think I was gonna really like this one as much as the matte one, but I am liking it so far. So I'm just gonna take one more wand. It smells like sunscreen, or I don't know what it smells like, but it smells like something. So that built up really nicely. I don't think it looks cakey. Okay, so again, I have the shade light neutral and it's really perfect shade actually. It matches me perfectly, so that's good. Another thing that I thought was funny, I was gonna save this till later to say. So it says, Tarte's tip: because this formula is so full coverage, you want to be sure that you have just the right shade for your complexion. Have you guys seen the picture of the shade range? Like, do you really think that someone is gonna have just the right shade for their complexion? I don't get that. I'm not even gonna talk about it right now. I'll get into that later. I just thought that that was really funny when I saw that on a website, just considering the shades that they launched. And I'm not trying to be mean, like I'm really not. I don't understand the thought process behind the shades. Anyways, we're gonna move on to the matte side. I do like the way this looks. It looks dewy, luminous. It covered up nicely, even out my skin tone, and I don't think it looks cakey. It's not bunching up anywhere. It's not clinging to any dry patches and not settling in my fine lines yet. So I do like this side so far. Now we're gonna go in with the matte shade. Again, I have light neutral, the same color. Before I put this on, I'm gonna swatch these two shades next to each other, just because I did see on some people's swatches the colors in the undertones looked kind of different, even though it was like the same shades. Okay, so that's the hydrating one. There's the matte one. So the matte one looks lighter. The bottom one is the matte one. See how it's a little bit more yellow and a little bit lighter? The top one looks a little bit more like beigey almost. Okay, so I'm gonna do the same exact thing on this side, except I'm gonna be using a kabuki brush instead of a sponge. So we'll do 3 stripes. Oh yeah, that one is lighter, weird. 2 and then 2. And then the brush I'm using is a Sigma F80 brush. This is my favorite foundation brush. That blended out super quick and super easily. It's definitely full coverage. I don't need to go in with a second layer like I did with the other one. Okay, so I can definitely tell this one is much more luminous, obviously. This one kind of makes me look like dry, I guess, because it is a matte foundation. I do like the matte finish, but I feel like it's kind of grabbing on the texture on the center of my face. I'm gonna zoom you guys in a little bit. Yeah, it's kind of weird. I don't know if I'm just having a bad skin day or if it's the foundation. This side doesn't look like it though. Although I do have really oily skin, my skin is dehydrated oily skin because I do take spironolactone for my acne, which dries out my skin. So I have to try really hard to like keep it moisturized and everything. So sometimes matte foundations just don't really look that good on me because my skin can be a little bit dehydrated at times. Okay, so here we are up close. Clearly this is the luminous side, this is the matte side. You really can't tell what I'm talking about on the matte side. It's really not noticeable until I get like super, super close up to the camera. So I don't even know if you guys are gonna be able to tell. But just looking at the luminous side now, I did think that it was full coverage, but you can definitely still see my acne. This side is definitely more full coverage. I do love the matte finish. Just that little patch here on my cheek that looks a little bit dry. That's the only thing that's throwing me off really, but I feel like once I set my face and finish up my makeup, that will go away. I'm gonna finish up my makeup now off camera, and then I will be right back to show you guys what it looks like with everything finished. Okay, so I just finished off the rest of my makeup, and I really am liking the way it's looking. I like the luminous side a lot more now that it's like set with setting powder because I don't look as oily as I did before. I really, really like the matte side. The only thing is I still can see a little bit of that like dry scaliness that I was talking about earlier. Honestly, it's really not noticeable until you get really up close to me and nobody's gonna be looking at like that close to my skin. Otherwise, I think it looks really good. I'm really excited to see how these two foundations hold up throughout the day. It is now 3:19. I finished my makeup about 20 minutes ago, so we'll call time at 3 o'clock. So I'm gonna show you guys one last time what my skin looks like now with all my makeup on and everything is set down before I come back for my check-in. It's not creasing in any of my fine lines. It's not creasing in my chin. It's not caking up in the sides of my nose. The only problem that I really am having is the texture on my cheek on the matte side. Otherwise, I think the foundation looks great on both sides. So yeah, I think that's all I have to say, and I will see you guys in a couple hours. Okay guys, so it is the next day now, and look at what I woke up with. This is the side that I used the matte foundation on. This was definitely not there yesterday. So last night, I still did check in, and I'm gonna insert the clips from when I checked in from yesterday, but we ended up going to a Wild game last night, and we stayed downtown until bar close. So I didn't get home till pretty late last night. It had already been like 12 hours at the time when I did check in, and I was just so tired by the time I got home that I didn't really talk that much in the check-in. So what I'm gonna do is have a 2-day wear test instead. I'm actually gonna be using it with Tarte's primer this time. This is the Clean Slate Timeless Smoothing Primer. I actually love this primer. So I'm gonna be using this underneath these foundations just to see if I have any different experiences. Yesterday, I got pretty oily, but my main concern is that the matte one is breaking me out. So I'm kind of nervous to be putting this on my face again. I'm just gonna do the same exact thing as I did yesterday. I thought this was really full coverage, but it's not even covering up my pimples really. I can definitely still see them. Okay, now we're doing the hydrating one on the other side. So compared to yesterday, this side looks a lot different. It's way less luminous, and that's definitely because of the primer. So I actually like how it looks a lot more with this. I think it looks really smooth. I like the matte side too. And then here is the matte side, and it literally did not cover up my pimples at all. Okay, so this is what it looks like all set down. I really like both of these with this Tarte primer. I think my face looks a lot softer than it did yesterday. They both actually look pretty matte. It's funny how that works because this primer definitely made the hydrating one look like a totally different foundation. So it is 3:13 in the afternoon right now. I'm gonna go finish editing and watch the Vikings game, and I'll check back in a couple hours. All right, guys, I'm back now, and it is the end of the day. It's 11:40 p.m. So it's been 8 hours, and you guys can probably see from there, but it's not going so great. I wanted to do a 2-day wear test to really give this a fair shot. Last night when I was wearing it, I didn't like it because I got really oily and it was separating a lot, but I was thinking maybe just because I did go out last night that I was like touching my face and whatever, so I wanted to test it out again today while I'm just sitting at home. I literally have not left the house. I've been editing all day and it looks pretty bad. It's basically like all rubbed off my face from here down. So here's my forehead. My forehead looks awful. I'm gonna turn my lights down so you can see. It's so bad. I really hope you guys can see this, like how much it's separating. It's crazy. It's disgusting on both sides. So yeah, it's pretty bad. I don't even have to explain it that much because you guys can obviously see on my face how bad it is. It's transferring everywhere, separated anywhere that I got oily. Yeah, these are both gonna be no-goes for me. I cannot wait to get all this off my face, but I still do want to talk about the whole shade range situation here and tell you guys my thoughts on it. Originally, I wasn't gonna say anything because it wasn't really my place, I thought, to say something. As I was thinking about it a little bit more, I really do think that it should be talked about by everyone because of how unacceptable this is. Basically, it's like 12 shades of light skin foundation, 2 dark ones, and then 1 medium one. Disgusting, honestly. It's unbelievable that they would even launch something with 2 dark shades. And Tarte did confirm that they're coming out with 10 more shades. I want to know why they didn't launch them all together. It just doesn't make sense to me. They're just completely excluding anyone of color. It really is just embarrassing, honestly. It's embarrassing that they would do this. A part of me thinks that they almost did this on purpose to kind of like create hype, because we all know that any type of publicity is good publicity. Doesn't matter if it's good or bad, it's good for the brand in the long run because it gets their name out there, they're talked about, being hyped up basically. It's kind of like what everybody thought about the Urban Decay Naked Heat palette, how they released those pictures of the swatches that looked terrible to get everybody talking about it and then released a really good palette that were really pigmented. That's kind of why I feel like they did this, because otherwise I just don't get it. We're in 2018. You cannot possibly think even 15 shades in general is enough for a foundation line. Look at what Fenty Beauty just did. Look at what all of these brands, they're extending all their shade ranges. Even Maybelline, different brands have these huge foundation shade ranges, and then you come out with a brand new foundation that was super hyped up. Everybody was so excited for it. It just seems so unfair to me. I cannot imagine being super excited to try out a new foundation and then not being able to try it because there's literally no shade. It just really makes me mad, and I lost all respect I had for Tarte for doing this. Even though they are releasing more shades, you should have waited to launch the foundation until you had all shades. Basically, by them launching this without those extra 10 shades is them saying, you're not important to us. And honestly, like, I don't give a damn about being on a PR list. I can afford my own makeup. That's the last thing on my mind. If anybody thinks that I'm not gonna talk about an issue like this, or even like speak up about if a makeup sucks or is just a bad makeup product, I will tell you guys 100% straight up what I think about it, because the last thing I care about is being on a PR list. You guys have seen my makeup collection. I have plenty of makeup. I don't need free makeup. So I've noticed that a lot of people are choosing not to talk about this and speak up about this, which I think is so wrong. I think that Tarte should know that this is just unacceptable. So that is my thoughts on this foundation. I hope I didn't like hurt anyone's feelings or get too carried away with this conversation. But yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you have any other foundation recommendations for me to try out in my wear test series, then please let me know and I will definitely get to those foundations. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye guys.